Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters, my knitting and nattering video podcast. It has once more been a month since I have done this. I have no good excuse. My bad excuse is that right after my last podcast, the whole family got a series of really bad colds that just knocked us flat. Especially Catherine, Chris, and myself. Just absolutely knocked us flat for 3 weeks pretty much. So without being able to talk without coughing, I couldn't really, even after I was feeling better, it was still that third week before I could talk without coughing or do anything really without coughing. So I couldn't record. And then this week has just been the kind of week where you can't get out to the conservatory after everybody else has gone to bed. It is 9:30, as you can see. It is still, I do not have the overhead light on. I have the Christmas lights on, the fairy lights, because they're pretty. But that's just how bright it is outside at 9:30 in Inverness, the day after solstice. So I'm here. I've got some knitting to talk about and some other things. So much has happened that I can't sum up everything. But knitting-wise, I have 2 finished objects to show you. The first is the Annie cardigan that I knit for Christina, who now wants to be called Tulip. She's not Kitten anymore, she's now Tulip, so good luck with me for remembering that. It does have buttonholes, it does not have buttons. That's not really what it looks like. It's a really rich, royal, deep purple. It's got this lace floral detail on the yoke. And then it's got this eyelet waistband. Most of the sizes are for babies and toddlers. And they have you start the eyelet. The pattern is the Annie cardigan by Susie Sparkle. And the instructions are to start the eyelet right here. But I wanted a longer waistband. That's where I wove some ends in. I wanted the waistband to be a little lower. So I knit some plain rows before I got to there. And then it has these flower petals for a kind of peplum. And then there are instructions for cap sleeve, short sleeve, long sleeve. And I kind of split the difference because Tulip wanted elbow length sleeves. So these come right to her elbow. And I figured that way she can get a little taller. It'll just be a regular short sleeve. And I did a little longer. She looks so cute in it. And she's very happy to have it, although she says it doesn't fit over her blouse. She's worn it with her gingham dress. This is the school color, so she can wear it to school. Although I think any purple they're largely okay with based on what other kids wear. So she's really happy with it. She's worn it a couple times. When I went to pick her up, I had finished it with all the ends woven in and everything, and she said she didn't want buttons. So I gave it to her and she wore it to school on a Friday. And when I picked her up, her teacher did make a point of saying that Christina had been telling everyone that her mom made it for her. So she's very happy with it. And she says her favorite color is no longer pink. Her favorite color is now purple. And the other thing is she doesn't want to have curly hair anymore. She wants to have straight hair. And those are both because her best friend has very straight hair and her favorite color is purple. So Christina's favorite color is now purple and she wants straight hair. The other one I finished is the Boost Your Knitting project for June. When last I spoke, it hadn't been released yet. So finding my words. The technique, that's the word. Boost Your Knitting, another year of techniques. The technique is dip stitches, which is what I did, if you remember, Catherine's last cardigan that I knit for her had like a flower petal pattern. And this is the Apple Swizzle Hat by Thea Coleman, who is also known as Baby Cocktail. It's a lime green. It's looking it's kind of that colorish. It's very much a lime green. The color is Slice of Lime. It is in the leftover yarn from Christina's the last cardigan I knit her, her green cardigan. And this is Ripple's Craft Merino DK, which she has discontinued. And she also just said she's discontinued the sport weight version of this yarn. And she's just announced that she's going to be dyeing up the final batch of the Cochrane yarn that she did that I love so much. So I'm just waiting for her to post that. Sorry, Oliver's walking around outside. Just waiting for her to post that, and I will buy some. But this is left over from Christina's cardigan, her previous cardigan. And the yarn I bought for the pattern included a hood. She decided she didn't want the hood, so I had a lot of yarn left over. And so this is the hat. I can try it on for you. The pattern includes a pom-pom on top, and I haven't decided if I'm going to include one. And this is the first made specifically for them item that is going in a hat box for my friend Miss Chrissy and her family, the cousins, because they bought a house and they are moving here. And apparently as their travels continue, they do still have another at least half year of traveling. They have increasingly, and I say increasingly, they've only been gone about a week and a half. They have increasingly been like, but we found where we want to live. Why do we still have to roam all over the place? Why can't we go home? But they've got visa stuff to sort out, and they don't officially own the house yet. It hasn't closed yet, but they will, and then they'll come live with us. Well, not with us, but here in Inverness, like us. So I am knitting as people who have moved, as a person who has moved from the Bay Area in California to Scotland, although I did not arrive quite in January. It's a bit colder than you're used to. So I'm putting a bunch of hats, scarves, mittens, other hand coverings, shawls, things that I will either knit for them or things that I'm taking from the boxes of stuff I've already made that either I no longer use or were too big or too small or whatever. There are many reasons there are things in that box or that are going in the box, and all of them are things for them. If they like things, they can keep them. If they don't like them, they can give them back or pass them on. But yeah, they've got a variety of head sizes, so hopefully things will fit everybody. And if it's particularly cold, they might need to wear more than one hat or more than one pair of mittens. So some are big, some are small. Hopefully it'll work for them. So yes, I knit this. Rather than order new yarn, I pulled this out of stash and I knit it because I think the oldest child will like this kind of green. And if not, maybe someone else will. Or I can always, I know Christina likes that color, we can hang on to it for her. Or Chris will wear anything. He loves anything I make. So yeah, that is the first new made thing for the box of warmth that I am hoping to make for them. So those are my finished objects. Sorry, I've got my notes here. So works in progress. I don't know that I've particularly shown this in a while, and I'm in the middle of a row, which always makes it more difficult to show, but this is the cardigan I'm working on, no, pullover for me, and this is a possum blend that I bought at the Loch Ness Knit Festival back in October. I bought so much stuff, and I'm very excited to be working with some of it. So this is the back piece, and these stitch markers are for the increases. There were decreases at the bottom, but I've taken them out, and I've removed the two that are hanging were the ones that said where to do the increases and decreases. And so I'm counting rounds until I split for the armholes. This is a longish one. I did want it, the pattern I'm doing, Alta, which is by Amy Herzog, and I'm doing it as a custom fit pattern. And this is the back, so it's plain, and the front has this beautiful cables, and the sleeves also have a cable detail down them. And then it has a cowl neckline, which I'm not sure if I'll do or not. I think I'm planning on doing it. The back is just plain, and as it's written, it's kind of just a standard ends right over the top of your jeans kind of pattern. And I wanted it to be not quite tunic, but low hip. I want it to kind of go down a little further. And I am doing it as a custom fit pattern. I knit a swatch, washed it, dried it, and everything, measured it, used my measurements in there. And yeah, the yarn is Jamie Possum, which I got at Loch Ness Knit Festival, as I mentioned. So there's that. I worked on that a bit. And the other one I've been working on since I finished my apple swizzle hat, that took like 2 days. I mean, it's DK, so it was pretty quick, but I mean, a lot of hats are knit in bigger yarns. Excuse me, I'm just gonna have to cough. I'm just gonna pause it. Sorry about that. As I was saying, everybody pretty much found that this pattern is so much fun and so easy to knit. The pattern is easily memorized and it's just fun. I started it one day and finished it the next day. That is not unusual for people who are knitting it. And so my next project, which again is slightly through, you can tell I didn't prep for this properly because I didn't get all of my projects lined up at the start of rounds. And this is Harriet's hat, which is a beanie, so a kind of a close-fitting hat in an all-over Fair Isle pattern. And I've made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of them I've ripped back and fixed. But one of them, because I was knitting at night, is I couldn't tell the difference between my blues. So this stripe up here is supposed to be the same color as this slightly darker grayish blue. And I grabbed the wrong blue, so it's a different color up here. No one who's not very familiar with the pattern will know that was a mistake. And even then, I don't know that you could prove that it wasn't an intentional one, because this more tealy color up here is not used very much in the pattern. So yeah, but it's very cute. And this one is also a good one. It's Harriet's Hat, which is by Harriet Middleton, and she is a lady up in Shetland who is working with a fundraiser to get funds to get an MRI scanner on Shetland. Currently, anyone who has any kind of problems that need to go through an MRI scanner has to go to mainland Scotland, which is either an overnight ferry or a couple hour, a commitment on a plane and all sorts of stuff. So there's an appeal to raise the money to buy a scanner for the hospital in Lerwick. So this pattern is £4, and all the money is going to this appeal. And then there's also kits of the yarn, and I think Jameson and Smith's kit, they're also doing a discount. Not a discount, sorry, they're giving part of the money towards the appeal. I know they are if you buy the shop in person. I don't know if they're doing it if you ordered online, but either way, they've been saying they've been selling lots of packs of the yarn. I ordered 3 of the colors, this bright blue, the gray blue, and I think this lighter, I can't remember which of these 2 I ordered. I had one and I had to order the other. And then the pattern calls for a slightly different white and a slightly more orangey yellow, but I decided the bright yellow and the brighter white would work just fine, and I have those in stash. I am finding that one a bit difficult to work on, if only because I keep getting interrupted. Normally Fair Isle, you get into a rhythm. I think because it is just a hat, the rows are pretty short. If it's a long row, you do it a bunch of times. This one, you only do it a couple times and you're like, hey, I finished the round, now I have to change my colors. So I've just been making careless, I'm tired mistakes. This one is also for the Box of Warm. Yay! I know that I will not wear a yellow hat, even if it's only a tiny bit of yellow like that. So, but I wanted to do the original colors. The colors are based on the colors for the MRI appeal. Excuse me, just this cold. I'm over it, but I can't seem to to shift the very last bit. The colors are based on the Appeal colors, so it should be the more goldenrod, but all the blues in the goldenrod are the Appeal colors. So I'm working on that. And what's next? So that was a new cast on, rather it's a work in progress, but that was a new cast on. My other new cast on since last I spoke with you is one of the Winwick Mum West Yorkshire Spinners sock colors, self-striping socks. I can't remember what this one is, but it's probably some kind of spring blossomy color. So I've started my first sock. I have not worked on this very much since I am not currently, in the last 4 weeks, Christina's only gone to swim lessons once, and Catherine is now done with her gymnastics course. So I've not had a lot of walking around time for projects. We've gone to the park a lot, but Catherine wants me to sit there and just push her on the swings. And any other kid who comes along, and I mean, I'm there. I can push as many kids as there are swings, really, which is 4. There are 4 swings, but it's really pretty. And I didn't realize it was going to be these kind of alternating stripes, but I think it's really nice. And I like the colors, and it'll be a really fun springy sock, even if I'm going to finish it probably in autumn, if not going into winter. But sometimes when it's darker and grayer, you want something bright and pretty. Yeah, so that's that. And then for acquisitions, I did buy a new pattern. I'm trying not to buy patterns too much, although I did buy the charity pattern and 3 skeins of yarn to knit it. But I did buy just this week Crystal, I didn't write her last name down. She's Crystal LK, and she released a new plus size only pattern called Joan, and it is a pullover with a cute little lace detail at the neck. And I'll just stop right here and put the picture in. And I thought that is a really neat idea, doing just a plus size only one. So I would support her in this, and I bought the pattern. And then I was looking to see if I had any yarn in stash that would be suitable for knitting this. And I don't really. I don't have anything. I don't have a lot of alpaca, and it does call for mostly alpaca yarn. And alpaca is a really soft fiber, so it drapes a lot. Whereas I have a lot of wool, really good for many things, not the drapiest, not drapey like alpaca is drapey. So I took a quick look to see Wool Warehouse was selling it, and I thought, well, we'll just see how much it costs for enough yarn for my jumper. And I ordered, including ordering 1 extra yarn. I think I'll need the size that would call for 8. They're 50-gram balls. And I thought I'll just throw in a 9th one just to be sure. And it was less than 30 pounds, including shipping, although I think I got free shipping. So less than 30 pounds for enough wool to knit a pullover. And I got it in black. The color range for that yarn is mostly kind of muted in pastels, which don't really do me any favors. So I got the black, which is really kind of a gray, dark gray, charcoal gray. But yeah, so I will knit that one hopefully. Maybe after I finish my Ulta, maybe I'll have 2 on the go. They're different kind of sweaters, so it doesn't count as 2 of the same project, right? And then today I have a new section, sewing. And I went to a little sewing class at the Wee Fabric Shop, which is over in Hilton. It's a local fabric shop that opened, I think it just had its first anniversary. And it was a sewing class for not newbie sewers, but kind of next one step up, beginner sewers, to make little drawstring project bags. And I would show it to you, but I can't find it. And I know I showed it to my mother when we Skyped tonight over dinner, and then I took Catherine to bed, and now I can't find it. So I think that my 6-year-old, who now wants to be called Tulip, is hoarding it in her room. She's very much a hoarder of things. She finds things she likes, she takes them in her room, and she locks the door and she's like, oh. So I think she stole my project bag. I can't show it to you, except I did take a picture, so I'll pause right here and put the picture in. And having finished it, we also got enough fabric already cut out and notions and stuff, which is just the drawstring, to knit to sew a second one. I will probably never get around to it because I don't have time. But maybe when Catherine finally starts nursery next January, fingers crossed, I'll have time to do things like sewing. I told him at the sewing shop that I'd actually made it there. I think it was in February, a couple months back. I made it there and I bought fabric and patterns to make my 2-year-old and myself each a shirt. Thought those would be nice, easy projects to kind of ease back into sewing. And then she gave up knitting that week, or knitting. She gave up napping that week, so didn't get very much done. Gardening, as I mentioned, we had colds for 3 weeks and didn't hardly do anything. There was one day when I was feeling a little better and I went out, I think it was after the second week, and I went out and I was working in the garden, trying to neaten up the edge of the lawn, the grass, and I kept coughing like I was going to die. I was talking, the across the street neighbor came over for a natter, and I honestly just could not, like every time I bent over to pull things up, I just had bigger coughing fits. And that's most of what I did. I did dig out one of the prickly plants that I hate, and I moved a hydrangea from a pot in the back garden into that spot in the hole, and so far it's doing all right. The vegetables aren't really growing, which one of the other moms at school was saying hers aren't growing either because we had 3 weeks of rain. They didn't have any sunshine. Even the ones in the grow house didn't get any sunshine. But my purple sprouting broccoli are starting to sprout flowers. And we've had 2 tomatoes and 7 strawberries. I counted. Catherine has had 3. I've had 2. Chris and Tulip have each had 1. I planted something that the bees were going for at the the garden center. I planted one of the purple flowering ones in the garden, and the very next day, across the street, the other way, neighbor's cat came over and started trying to eat it. And I was like, no, don't eat my plant. And then just this week, I was looking at the label again, and the front has its scientific name and its variety name, and then on the back in smaller print in one point it says catmint. I'm like, oh well, that would be why Jack keeps trying to eat it. Our cats don't. Our cats have basically ignored it, but every time Jack comes through her garden, he's like, have a little nibble. So it's working for one of the cats. And this week, a lot of this stuff is all just this week for the garden because there's been a couple days when it hasn't been pouring down in rain. This is the first day of really nice sunshine. But there have been some days when it's not been pouring down rain and I don't feel like death walking around. But I did find over in that corner is a self-seeded, I'm going to say deadly nightshade. What is it? It is a... now I can't remember. Foxglove. Yes, I found a self-seeded foxglove. It doesn't have a flower stem yet, it's just the leaves, but I'm like, oh, I recognize those leaves. I do. So I don't know if it must be its first year, so next year it'll bloom. But I did buy a native foxglove, a wild foxglove at the gardening show, which was 2 weeks ago. Our cousins were it was right before our cousins left, and our cousins were supposed to go with us, but they all wound up getting a tummy bug right before then, which fortunately, touch wood, we managed to miss, but they all got the tummy bug, and they needed to be better for their flight out, so they missed it, but we went, and it rained, and my children were not the best behaved in the world. They really have no patience for, Mommy wants to look at things, but other than that, it was nice. And I did get a native wild foxglove. So I plan on putting that one near at least the other one. It's right next to a tree that I want cut down. So I may move both of them. I may dig out the first one and move it somewhere a little bit where it won't get stepped on when I have the tree cut down. But I will have 2 foxgloves. It might go alternating years. I figure foxgloves, like my lupins, I did buy another lupin to go in the front, can be something where I buy another plant every year and just kind of expand the amount of space they take over. So family, tonight, well, in general, Catherine has been kind of naughty, but she's really climbing on things a lot more since we've gotten over these colds. She's kicked up her climbing, and she's climbed up tonight on my nightstand. She pushed it over and climbed up on it and was getting all the things down off the shelf, the high shelf where I put things so she can't get them. Yes, so I put my nightstand in my closet for now, and I told Chris, you know how you've been saying, why don't you, he has the Hue lights, the ones you control on your phone, and you can turn them on and off and set timers, and they do have physical commands as well. Excuse me. He bought a pack with several lights in it and a couple lamps, and he's like, look, I've got one in my room, you can have one in your room. And I said, well, I don't need one, I've got a touch lamp I like, and it's right there, and it works really well. Well, tonight I ordered a new lamp that will fit the Hue light bulbs, so I can put my lamp up on the shelves since I no longer have a nightstand, and I can turn it on and off with my phone. I was going to say as long as the power goes out, but if the power goes out, you can't turn your lights on and off anyway. But sometimes the internet goes out when the power doesn't go out, but there are physical buttons you can do to turn it on and off. So let's see. She finished gymnastics. The gymnastics is done until school starts up next year. And she has been a little better about listening, like walking to go get Tulip from school. She is stopping before crossing the roads most of the time. Sometimes she gets excited and forgets. She does try to let go. I'll be like, hold my hand when we cross the street, and we'll get in the street. And then she'll be like, I have to let go and run. I'm like, no, don't do that. But she is doing a little better at listening, which I guess is just a sign of her growing maturity. Since the cold, when we had the cold, there were a couple of days when I had the cold where I put her in the pram and I was basically walking around like, just peek and go back to closing my eyes and then just peek. And I was just absolutely dead. But she's still letting me put her in the pram more than she was before we had these colds. And then I let her out when we get there. And she usually walks home again. Or walks mostly home and then goes back in the pram. Which is much easier than, I want to walk, carry me. I'm not a fan of I want to walk, carry me. Walk or go in the pram. Tulip has had a couple more sleepovers. She had a sleepover at one of her close friends' house with her best friend. Both girls went over. From what I understand, they were up like 4 times in the middle of the night, including at 1:30. They all got dressed and had a dance party. So glad that wasn't ours, but then we had that friend over to our house, and Chris made a joke. I was like, how many times did you get, I was telling Tulip that I'm not overly inclined, I mean, like, she really has to, she wanted to have another sleepover, go over to someone else's house tonight, and I'm like, you're really too tired, you're just worn out, you can't do it. And she's like, no, I'm not tired, and crying. There was also crying and whinging and all sorts because she was very tired. And I was like, well, from when I put you to bed, how many times did you get up? She's like, not many. Chris goes, I think it was 6 times. And she goes, no, it was only like 3. And so we counted, and it was 8. She got up 8 times from when they went to bed, which was later than her bedtime normally is anyway. And I was just like, I'm not having it, no. So we have a new official policy, which is that she cannot have 2 sleepovers in a row. It needs to be sleepover, rest day, And then maybe you can do something, if it's sleepover, do things, then the next day has to be a rest day. You're not ready for too many things in a row. But other than that, it was a nice sleepover. Her friend was well behaved they're both 6. They behaved in very 6-year-old ways, but no screaming, no fighting, no particular. Catherine was the one throwing things. Yeah, but Tulip, she didn't want to go to Enjoy a Ball anymore, so we canceled that. And now she's saying she doesn't want to do swimming anymore, whereas that was something she really, we'll save a lot of money if we're not paying for, it's like £10 to go there and £10 to get back in taxis. But swimming is so important. Excuse me. Although apparently the bus company is going to change the route again, and then I can take the bus most of the way there, and then it's just the nice part of the walk over to the Aquadome. So I don't know. I told her if she's not doing the swim lessons, like, I can't take her swimming. It's going to be until when Catherine's 5, I can take both of them swimming by myself. So that's 3 more years before she can go swimming if she's not doing the lessons. And she's like, okay. So I don't know. She might just be burned out. We'll see how she feels. She says she doesn't want to do the lessons. One of the things I've done the last couple of weeks is sign her up for all the summer stuff. And I did sign her up for 1 week of swimming lessons. And now she's saying she doesn't want to do those either. So I don't know. Because that week was planned out as going to do the swim lesson. I spent so much time booking all these different things. But we would go to the Aquadome in the morning. They should have swim lessons from 10 to half 10. And then I had asked a friend if they wanted to do it the same week, same class. And then we could all go swimming, like free swimming, fun swimming afterwards. And either way, we'd have lunch and go to the Floral Hall and or the park. And then I have them each. The only thing they have for toddlers is the bouncy castle. So I have them, Tulip is in one session for the bigger kids, and Catherine's in the baby session. So they could each do some bouncy castle time. But I guess we won't be doing any of that. I don't know. I don't have to decide right away, but hopefully she'll decide she does want to do some of this stuff, because I did spend, last summer we didn't book her into any classes, and she was kind of bored and wishing she was doing something with her friends. So I did try to, I told her friends what she was doing so they could book in with them as well if that was a thing. Although of her 2 best friends, her best friend is spending most of the summer back in Czech, which is where her mom's family is. And the other friend is moving back to Spain. Well, I guess she's not moving back to Spain, but their family's moving back to Spain. So her 2 best friends are not going to be here over the summer. So her group is 5 friends, so there's 2 other girls, and we can do stuff with them, hopefully. I don't know. The next door neighbor they're going to England for a while. Our across the street neighbors hopefully will be available, because that'd be nice if the across the street neighbors are available as much as we are. Anyway, I don't know what to do if she's not doing her fun activities, especially because last summer the weather was so nice, so we could have gone to the beach basically any day, and so far June has been a washout. So if the rest of the summer kind of looks like this part of the summer, we can't do things like we can't go to the beach in the rain if we have to walk half an hour to get there. The whole thing's outside, half an hour back. If you're walking, you can't bring, if you have a car, you can bring lots of change of clothes and various other things that you can't if you have to carry everything. So I don't know. We'll see how it is. She did have her church Sunday school had a beach picnic, which was to Rosemarkie Beach, which we'd never been to. She'd been to the lighthouse, which is at the end of that beach, but as a school trip, but I'd never been. It should be a good spot to see dolphins. There were not any dolphins when we were there. But we had a very nice trip, and I brought home a big bag full of rocks because I'm trying to build. We have right on the corner of the big bedroom, there is a drain pipe that overflows in lakes. We've had it cleaned out, and we've had other things. It's just whatever it is, the way it is, it leaks and it overflows when it rains a lot. So I'm going to put a little fountain, a rock fountain at the bottom. So I was picking up pretty rocks to put on the top, and that way when it rains down, it'll land in, it won't be the drumming sound on the deck is what it won't be. But I brought home pretty rocks, and Tulip picked up every single shell on the beach that she found, whether it's a whole shell or a broken fragment of a shell. So many shells. And yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that. I asked Catherine if she wanted to go to church with us. She said, no, home daddy, home daddy. So I didn't have to watch her. The first 4 people or so I encountered when we were waiting for the bus were like, hey, where's Catherine? Like, I do things. When Tulip had her sleepover at her friend's house on Saturday morning, I went to pick her up, and both the mom who was there and the mom picking up the other girl were like, where's Catherine? Like, I really do leave the house sometimes without her. Although currently it's looking like, in May I had my tea with Miss Chrissy, and in June I had an afternoon sewing class. So once a month I get to do something without either child. And I will enjoy the heck out of them. And then on Sunday we went to church, and all the kids in the Sunday school did some songs, and Catherine kind of sat next to Christina doing it. And for Catherine was very well behaved. For a 2-year-old, she was fine, but for Catherine in particular, she was very well behaved. And then all the kids who were in Sunday school, which is 3 and up, got books. Christina got a nice sticker book with some Bible stories. And yeah, Catherine was like, my book, my book. No, this is special for Christina. She went to Sunday school. She gets the book. You did not go to Sunday school. You stayed home with Daddy. You did not get a book. So we'll see. Trying to think if anything else happened. Today was the school fete. So we went, and our children ate a lot of candy and did a lot of bouncy castle. And that's about it. And I really don't remember anything that happened this month, other than being deathly ill. I mean, there were some days I was just so absolutely knocked out and coughing and coughing and coughing. So I think that's us for today. I finally got this done, and it is now a little past 10. Still bright as day outside. The sun won't even set for a bit still. So I will try to add the pictures in and post this online sometime tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see if it's another month before I get to talk to you again. Have a good one. Bye.